Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are listening. Welcome to The Truth About Us, the podcast from Unstoppable Life. And I am your host, Don Crampert. So, if you are a first time listener, I am glad that you discovered our conversation and welcome. If you are a returning listener, welcome back to the discussion. I appreciate your attendance. So, it all starts right here where we have honest conversations about the internal battles and overwhelm that many of us men face, but rarely want to admit or even talk about it out loud or even with anybody. See, here we uncover the quiet questions about identity and purpose and direction and emotions. And I explore what it really means to overcome these struggles and identify the turning points and the navigation, what's next in the chapters that shape our life, especially during the phases when we feel lost, when we're not sure where to begin or how to regain our confidence, and the old version of ourselves and our life no longer quite fits. So let's jump right into today's conversation with another simple but high quality question. What are you waiting for? No, that's the question. What are you waiting for? Just think about that for a moment. What is the thing you've been putting off? Is it a conversation or a decision or an opportunity or a change or a dream or something simple like the next step? What are you waiting for? See, for me and many men, the answer sounds something like this. I'm waiting until I'm ready. And honestly, that sounds reasonable. Who wouldn't want to feel ready before making a big decision or taking a next step? Who wouldn't want the confidence before taking a risk, right? Who doesn't want certainty before stepping into the unknown? These are all real things. The problem, though, is that readiness is often misunderstood. Many of us, including me, spend years waiting for that feeling that never arrives. And while we're waiting, guess what happens? Life keeps moving on. Opportunities pass, time passes, potential remains unexplored, and not because we lack ability, because we're waiting for permission from a future version of ourselves, a version that somehow has no fear and no doubts and all the answers. That sound familiar? But the truth is, that version doesn't exist, my friends. That's the myth of confidence. That's the myth of confidence. One of the biggest misconceptions I have learned, especially, is the belief that confidence comes before actions do. See, we tell ourselves, and I told myself this, when I feel more confident, I'll do that. When I believe in myself more, I'll start. When I'm sure, I'll move forward. But think about your own life. Where did or does your confidence actually come from? Did it arrive before the experience or because of it? Most confidence is earned. It's built through action and it's built through experience and it's built through doing things that once felt uncomfortable and sometimes even impossible. You weren't confident the first time you drove a car, right? The first time you interviewed for a job, were you confident then? How about the first time you became a parent? How about the first time you stepped into a leadership role? I mean, if any of you know my background as a 30-year Navy veteran, boy, I wasn't confident in those leadership roles. It came later, after the action, not before it. And this is why we stay stuck. I don't think most of us stay stuck because we're lazy. That's not true. We stay stuck because we're afraid. And that's a human trait. We're fear of failure or rejection or fear of making the wrong choice or fear of looking dumb or foolish or the fear of discovering that things might not work out. But there's another fear that we don't talk about enough. The fear of discovering that things might work out. The fear of becoming responsible for our own potential. The fear of realizing we're capable of more than we've allowed ourselves to believe. See, growth requires us to leave the familiar, folks, and the familiar feels really safe. Even when we're unhappy, even when we're restless, even when we know we want something different, we'll stay stuck because it's familiar. When we remain stuck because between the life that we have and the life that we want, we stay stuck right there. And it's not because we don't know what to do. It's because taking the first step requires courage. Well, we're going to do something different. Momentum changes everything. One thing I've learned is that momentum is one of the most powerful forces in personal growth. I'm living proof. When we're standing still, every obstacle looks enormous. Every challenge feels overwhelming. Every decision feels very complicated. But once we start moving, something changes. We gather information. We gain perspective, and we build confidence, and we discover opportunities we couldn't see before. See, actions create momentum, and momentum creates clarity, and clarity creates confidence. That's why waiting for perfect condition will never work. Perfect conditions don't create momentum. Movement does. Small steps matter. Sometimes when we're involved or hear conversations like this, we assume we need to make a massive change. I got to quit the job, or we have to move across country, or we have to reinvent our entire lifestyle. That's not what I'm talking about. Most transformation begins with the smallest step. Some of you know I call it the power of one. One phone call, one email, one conversation, one decision, one action. The first step rarely changes everything, and it won't, but it changes something important. It changes us. It shifts us from observer to participant, from waiting to moving, from wishing to doing, and that shift will really matter. And it's a different way to think about readiness. See, what if readiness isn't a feeling? What if readiness is a decision? A decision to trust ourselves enough to move forward despite the uncertainty. A decision to take action before you have the answer. A decision to stop waiting for confidence and start building it. Because the truth is, my friends, most of the things that transformed our lives happened before we felt fully prepared. We figured them out along the way. Just like you'll figure this out. So some final thoughts here. If you've been waiting for the perfect moment to show up, waiting for certainty, waiting for confidence, and waiting for permission, consider this your reminder. Life is happening right now, and it continues. Not someday, not when you're completely ready, right now. You don't need to see the entire path, and you don't need to know every answer, and you certainly don't need a guarantee. You simply need the courage to take the next step, because the next chapter of your life won't be built by waiting around. It will be completely built by moving. One step, one decision, and one day at a time. Thank you for joining me on this episode of The Truth About Us. And if today's conversation had an impact and it resonated with you, be sure to subscribe to my Unstoppable Life Reset Letter on Substack. See, each issue explores these topics a little more deeply through reflection and application. And actions. So until next time, keep showing up. Keep having these honest and truthful conversations. Continue to ask quality questions and stop waiting and start moving. Your next chapter is just around the corner. And this is the truth about us.